Hello everyone, welcome to our Power Up webinar session. Let me first introduce myself. This is Ilgaz speaking, and I am the product manager of ITarian Endpoint Manager. And I want to thank you all for joining our webinar session. The content of this session is a little bit more to talk about the main functionalities for those who are starting to use ITarian Platform. And of course, we will be continuing to make our webinar sessions regularly on a weekly basis. Also, we will hold separate sessions focused on the questions you ask about the topics you want to learn in more detail. Therefore, we kindly ask you to share your questions with us in response to the email that we are going to send you after the webinar, or you can also directly ask your questions from the forum, which is already which we already shared the link in chat. So please share your questions over there, and we will hold another question and answer session to be able to help you understand ITarian Platform better. In order not to disturb the flow during the session, I will accept your questions in last 10 minutes. So let's start. Today, we will talk generally about procedures. The topics that we will cover are, first, we are going to try to create a custom script procedure, and then we will create a OS operating system patch procedure. Then again, we will create a third-party patch procedure, and then we will try to schedule a procedure so that it can be executed on a predefined time. And then we will try to apply an auto remediation script upon a monitor when it is triggered. So let's start. Let me share my screen. Okay. So first, we will create a procedure. As you know, this is the main page of ITarian Platform. So we will go to Endpoint Manager, or if you would like, you can jump directly into Procedures section. But let me just go to Endpoint Manager main page to show you the details. So here, we go to Configuration Templates, as all the configurations are done from this section. We have profiles, alerts, procedures, which we will work on today. Let's click to Procedures tab. And you can see some predefined procedures. Actually, there are a lot of predefined procedures that the platform have. And also, your procedures, your created procedures will be shown here. Or you can also create new folders to distinguish your procedures. So let's create a procedure now. When we click to create button, we will see three kinds of procedures: script procedure, patch procedure, and third-party patch procedure. We will cover all of them today. So let's create a script procedure first. When we click it, a pop-up opens and it asks for us to give a procedure name. For example, let's type disk cleanup. If you would like, you can also add a description to it, and you may choose the folder which the created procedures will be located at, and then we click to create button, and it navigates to the created procedure. It opens with General tab. There are 5 tabs here, which you see in General tab. The name, description folder, and the alert settings. On View Procedure tab, we will define our procedure here, since this is a script procedure. On Schedule tab, we will see the scheduled procedure. I mean, if this procedure is scheduled on a profile, it will be listed here. We will cover that later. Here, you will see the execution log of this procedure based on the device. And here, if the script procedure includes some parameters, you will see the parameters and you will be able to edit those parameters here. So let's create our script. I already have a script, so I will just copy and paste it. So first we need to go to the View Procedure tab and click Edit. And then just type whatever you would like. This is Python script. So you can write anything that you want using the Python scripting language. Also, you can add existing procedure by clicking Add Existing Procedure here. It's just like the clone functionality, but you will just add the existing procedure code here by clicking this. We have undo and redo buttons. So let's paste it. You can write anything that you would like. I told about parameters. So whenever you want a parameter to be used, you just need to add this into anywhere. And for example, let's define a parameter like this. And when we click Save, it will directly go to parameters section and ask for us to enter the type of the parameter. We have 4 options. Let's choose string. We need to give a label, for example, and then we have to give a value. And then we just click to save button. And then the parameter is saved. We can always change the parameter. And when we want to add a new parameter, we go to View Procedure tab again, and we just enter another parameter and click Save. And as you can see, the next parameter came here, and we need to enter the type, the label, and the default value. So that's all about creating procedures. I want to talk about the upper menu items. So you can export a procedure by clicking to this button. It will download a JSON file, which you can later import the procedure again for future uses. You can clone a procedure in anywhere you want. I will talk about running a procedure later. You can, on script procedures, there are some validation and verification phases. Since the system doesn't know what has been written here, someone eligible to approve this procedure needs to approve. So first, when the procedure is created, it needs to be sent to review, and then someone with required permission needs to approve the procedure. So unless the procedure is approved, it cannot be run on any device. So it needs to be approved first. And also the required person has always the option to decline if they don't like the procedure or something else. So by clicking approve, the procedure is now approved and it can be run out from now on. And when you click to run, a pop-up opens and you can run a procedure on all the devices that you have, or you can type the device names or device groups or user groups, and also you can choose customers to run this procedure. As we have parameters defined on this procedure, there is another button which will configure the parameters. So we just set the default value for the procedure parameter, but upon running, we can always change the parameter value so that the parameter will get the value that we put here. Or you can choose to use default value as well. You have the option to send the result logs by email. You can send the logs to the current user who runs the procedure, or you can send to any email. And you have two options to run the procedure on the destination endpoint as local system user or logged in user. And when we click to run, it will run the procedure on the selected device. So that's all about script procedures. So let's move to the other topic. So I told that there are some conditions to run a procedure, script procedure especially. So it needs to go to first to review, and then it needs to be approved. So we have separate permission set for those actions. For example, it is configured from role management tab. When you go to configuration templates, you will see procedure permission set. And there are separate permissions for creating a procedure, editing, deleting, approving, exporting the procedure list, and executing of the procedure. So you can assign different users to approve and execute, which will increase your security. So we strongly suggest you to configure those permissions properly in order not to have I mean not to have unmanaged access. So let's go to the other topic. So how to create operating system patch procedure. So again, we go to procedures, we click create, and this time we click to create patch procedure, and we give a name again. For example, apply patches. Again, if you would like, you can enter a description. So let's create it. This section is a little bit different. So as you can see, there is no view procedure tab because it's not a script procedure. And instead, we have execution options and restart control. So when you go to execution options, there are some options that you have to choose. So we try to apply critical patches. So let's select critical updates, and also let's choose security updates and choose critical. You can choose the other ones as you would like, and you need to click save button. You can always edit or delete the procedure. And on restart control, you have the options to force reboot or suppress the reboot, or warn the user about the reboot and let the user postpone it. And you can also set a custom message about the reboot notification that will show up on the endpoint. Again, there is a schedule tab, which we will cover later. And also you can see the execution log of this procedure. As it is not a script procedure and it is not a custom procedure, there are no approval states for operating system patch procedures, as you only choose the options here, so there is no need to approve the procedure. So let's go back and now create a third-party patch procedure. For example, I want to update the text editor applications. So it's more or less the same with operating system procedures. There is general tab, execution options, restart control, schedule, and execution log. And on execution options, this time, instead of Windows operating system options, operating system patch options, you have two options, whether you can update all applications or you can update only the selected applications. Let's type Notepad, LibreOffice, OpenOffice. You can select multiple applications and then click save. With this option, only those 3 applications will be updated whenever a patch arrives. So it's more or less like this. And now let's schedule a procedure. In order to do that, we need to go to Profiles, select the profile, and then add Profile section and add Procedures section. And here you can add any procedure that you want. You can add also multiple procedures to be scheduled. For example, the profile name is performance profile, so let's add a script procedure. On schedule settings, you can either give a custom schedule or you can schedule on a maintenance window. Maintenance window is not covered on this session, but when we cover this maintenance window, we will of course present you a demo about scheduling procedures on a maintenance window. So let's choose custom schedule. We need to select a start date. Let's select today. And on schedule, we have 3 options, daily, weekly, or monthly. Let's choose weekly. And let's choose this Saturday each week. And we need to give a time. So let's schedule this procedure to be run every Saturday at 1 a.m. We have end time settings for scheduling. The default is no end settings. It means that it will run always on every Saturday. We have run until, where we give an end date so that the schedule ends. We have run no more than, which means that the procedure will not run more than the predefined amount of time that we choose. We can give seconds, minutes, and hours. Again, we have the option to run the procedure as local system user or logged in user. We have the option to run this procedure immediately when the profile is assigned to a new device. We can skip the procedure if the device is offline. And of course, we can send the logs by email, whether either to the current user or to any email address that we give here. So let's choose no end settings, which means that the procedure will be executed indefinitely. So let's add. As you can see, the procedure is added on a weekly schedule, and let's save it. And you can see who added this scheduled procedure when, and when the last time the procedure is edited. So you can add more than one procedure to be scheduled in a profile. So when the time comes, the procedure will be executed on all the devices having this profile, so that, and you will see the execution logs either from procedures or from the device that has this profile in logs and script logs. You can see the procedures that has been run on this device from here. And then let's go to the last topic that we will cover today. It is how to apply auto remediation upon a monitor is triggered. So we can apply some auto remediation scripts upon when a monitor is triggered, so that an action can be taken automatically by the system. So let's try to do that. We have disk space monitor, which monitors all the drives and triggers an alert when any of the drive has less than 30% of free space left. So on the monitor, on General tab, when we click Edit, there is a section called Auto Remediation on Alert, and we can run an auto remediation procedure by typing the procedure name. So the condition is free disk space left. So let's try to free up some space. So to do that, let's clean up the disk and save. Now, when the monitor is triggered, which means that there are less space left, less than 30% space left on any of the drives of an endpoint, and then this cleanup procedure will run automatically and immediately to free up some space on that endpoint. So it's how we can configure auto remediation procedure upon a monitor is triggered. So that's all for today. I would be very happy to answer your questions now. You can type your questions on chat. Okay. Please ask your questions from.
Ilgaz, there are a couple of questions.
Yeah, I know. I'm reading the questions from top. If you have questions about this session, I will answer. And if you have some other questions, please ask them from the forum so that we can have another session about those questions. How to check if a procedure is done correctly? You mean if the script procedure is written correctly, or if the procedure is executed without any error? Could you please could you please extend the question? Yeah, okay. So the question is how to check if the procedure is executed correctly. So there are some different ways. One is from the endpoint and logs, and from the script logs. So as you can see, there is a status where you can see whether the procedure was run successfully or whether it has failed. And you can also see the details about the procedure so that you can find whenever a procedure is failed, you can track where it is failed by checking the logs. And also the same exists here on procedures tab, and check a procedure, for example, this was executed, and execution log. And you can also check whether a procedure is executed on a device if successfully or not. So I hope it is the answer to your question. Let's move on. Can you edit a schedule once created? You have to go to profiles and add the related procedure to profile in order to schedule it. So it's the only way. How we can add third-party tool to application store? Well, please ask this question from the forum link that we have shared, so that we can answer your question in next webinar sessions. How can we get a sync report with all the results of the procedure? Can you please extend this question, Michael? Okay, I understood now. So as I showed earlier, you can see the execution log for a procedure by clicking to the procedure and going to execution log tab, you will see a separate log for each device that the procedure has been run, so that you can differentiate on which device it was executed successfully and on which device it was failed for some reason. You can export the logs from here, and it also has the details so that all the executions will be exported in that case. So let's continue. Is there no way to automate that export to an email? So as I showed, either on scheduling a procedure or running on demand, you have the option to send the resulting logs by email. So you can automate this logging when you schedule a procedure, and it will send all the logs that about the procedure onto an email address that you have or the current user. No, it will send just one email with all the logs that, I mean, it will send one email with all logs regarding all the endpoints. Okay. When schedule the security patches, will it check with Microsoft website to download onto specific endpoint? Actually, yes. Well, the agent, communication agent on the endpoint connects to Windows Updates application on the endpoint and tries to fetch again the patches and then applies the patches, the available patches. So the server is not going to connect to Microsoft website. Instead, the agent will connect to Microsoft update service and try to fetch all the available and selected updates. I mean, for example, in the demo, we selected the critical updates. So it will fetch all the critical updates again for the endpoint and then apply the patches on that endpoint. Do we have a notification if the procedure failed? If you send the logs by email or by email, you will receive whether if the procedure is failed or success. Do you plan to support macOS and Linux procedures? Yes. Actually, we will be releasing the support for macOS in a short term. I mean, it will be released at the end of April. And Linux support is on our roadmap, but I cannot give you an exact time right now, but we are working on that as well. what is the difference between what is the difference to run procedure as a logged in user or system user? It's about the elevation of privileges. So some scripts need higher privileges. In that case, the script has to be run as system user, because many times the logged in user doesn't have administrator rights. So in order to not to get a failure on some scripts which needs a higher elevated privilege, it needs to be run as system user. Once apply, are the patch files deleted to save storage? So when the, of course, when the files are downloaded, patch files are downloaded and installed, the installer files are deleted, of course. Any information about white labeling for it outsourcing company? White label, do you mean white labeling for endpoint managers? Actually, we have white labeling for agents, but not for the endpoint manager portal, as customers, your customers won't see endpoint manager, but we have the white labeling option for the agents, but we will cover that on a separate session. Yes, we are also working on reports to be fully white labeled. Please, Oliver, thank you for your question. Please ask these questions from the forum so that we can get back to you as soon as possible. Is there any other question? What is the difference between RMM and device management? Okay, so RMM is remote monitoring and management, where you monitor your devices and, for example, you want to monitor your devices to be able to make sure that your devices are in good shape and up to date. And device, actually, remote monitoring and management is a subset of device management. So device management also includes, for example, patch management. It includes mobile management as well. And also it includes security aspects of the platform. But remote monitoring is basically monitoring of the endpoints that you have. Okay, so is there full support for two-factor authentication? Yes, we have. We support two-factor authentication. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining our session. If you have any question, please ask your questions from the forum link so that everyone can be aware, and our responses reach to everyone as well. So thank you for joining again. Have a nice evening. Take care. Bye.